4D Fabergé Egg Gel Nail Art Tutorial by Hot Pink Zebra Polish. Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be doing a Easter type design. It wouldn't necessarily have to be for Easter, but it's going to be a Fabergé egg that opens up and then there's a little bunny portrait painted on the inside. And so this is all done with gel. This is, I think, the first 4D design I've done with gel, pretty sure. Yeah, cool. So anyways, I'm also going to be using some little silver and actually no, they're more like a bronze and black, but they're little metal, little cutout designs that I'm going to be using to help decorate the outside of the egg. Using those is so nice to really give it that authentic Fabergé egg look because they usually have really gold, rich accents around them, and having all those little intricate designs really easy to do with these little metal pieces. So I'm going to be using those. Those are from Enjoy Yours, and there'll be a link to those in the description box below along with a little discount code. And don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos as well. So here are those little metal pieces that I mentioned. So they're just little metal cutouts and they're black on one side and bronze on the other. I don't know why I said silver. And when I got them and I saw it, they were a total mess. None of them are in their little individual compartments, which I actually just thought was kind of funny because it's such a mess, which I will have to go through and organize one of these days when I have a spare moment, which who knows. But they are little cutouts and they're really gorgeous. The one thing I would have to say though is I think mostly with the butterflies, which are the ones I was using, so it was extra noticeable, it's like there's two stuck together, so the design isn't as intricate because they almost look blurry. So I just made sure that I grabbed ones that were clearer and easier to see. But other than that, they are really nice and worked to do this design flawlessly. It was amazing. So then I'm going to be start applying a first layer of gel onto the nail, and I'm using a white sculpture gel. So sculpture gel is just really thick and really holds its shape well, which is really nice for building an apex, but it's not self-leveling. So as you can see, it still looks lumpy after it's cured. So now the next layer I'm doing is a color gel, which is much thinner and does self-level. So that's this layer, just to make sure after that's cured, then I can go through and I'm going to be applying this really gorgeous pearly white powder over the top of the entire thing with a silicone tool. And that color gel that I have cured without a tacky layer, so once it's on there you can just apply powders like this and not worry about removing the tacky layer at all. So I'm going to be applying a thin layer of clear builder gel over the top of this. Try to use as few brush strokes as you can as to not disrupt the way that the powder is laying on top of there. As you can see, I just kept brushing it, which was not exactly what you should do, but it's what I did anyway. I wasn't thinking, I don't know. So then after that's cured, I'm going to completely finish my apex. The white sculpture gel in the beginning did start it, but now it's really going to finish it off. Just make sure that you have a nice strength on there. And then I'm going to clean that off with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and then file it with a 180 grit file just to make sure that it's nice and smooth and everything is perfect. It's actually a pretty good shape. I feel pretty proud of myself because I'm not used to using gel. And I can definitely tell that I'm getting more comfortable with it, which is, I consider that a personal victory. So then after that is filed and buffed, I'm going to be creating the egg itself. So I'm going to start, and this is on an eyedropper from an essential oil, and I'm going to be making the bottom half of the egg. So just add a little bit of that going around like 25%. Well, it's on the top of it, but then not all the way around it in a circle, just half of it. So then after that's got 2 layers of purple color gel on it, I can pop it off. And then I'm going to so that's the bottom of the egg, and I'm just going to test it, see how it sets on the nail. Once I'm happy with that, make sure it looks good, I'm going to make the top half. So I'm going to paint more of that color gel on there. And then while it's curing, this is really awkward and definitely will probably cramp your fingers. Also stick a magnet towards the edge of that. But then while it's curing, you're going to want to pinch the end of the eyedropper. So just see how that goes, so that it will make it that egg shape, and cure it and hold it while you're curing it. Like I said, pain in the butt, but something that has to be done. And then once you take it out, remove it from the eyedropper immediately and apply the second layer of color gel, cure it again. So now on a nail form backing, I'm going to be using some clear builder gel, create a rectangle, add a magnet in one end of the rectangle, add a second coat so it's smoothed over and the magnet doesn't stick up weird. So then after you have that second coat of that clear builder gel on there, cure that, then you can pop it off, and the 2 magnets, the one in the top half of the egg and the one in the little rectangle, they should stick together just like that. And then set the egg together how it's going to be, and I'm just using some poster putty on the top or on my nail brush cover, or my 3D brush cover, and then I'm just going to secure the rectangle to the bottom half of the egg with some clear builder gel, making sure that I don't get any of that clear gel so that I'm not gluing the 2 halves of the egg together. Once that's cured, you can take that out and then remove the tacky layer with some isopropyl alcohol on a little piece of like a lint-free wipe. make sure that the egg still does set together. So you have a magnet on the top half and on the bottom half. The one that's on the bottom half just sticks out a little bit, so it goes underneath the other part. So then take a piece of wire, cut it off, string a bead onto that piece of wire, and then bend it into a U, and then bend the U at a right angle. So I don't know if you can see how that goes. Cut off the extra wire. So now I've got just this little sort of cross between an L and a U shape, depending on how you look at it. And it should set on the edge of your egg. So then I'm going to take and put some nail glue in there, pick it up with some tweezers, and set it in. So it's on the opposite edge of the egg than that rectangle with the magnet is. So it's at the bottom of the egg. Also do that for the top of the egg. Same process, wire, bead, whole thing. And then once they're both glued into your egg, you can go through and using the same purple color gel just so it's got a uniformity on the inside color. I'm going to be just securing that because the nail glue doesn't hold it strong enough. And I'm going to paint the entire inside of the egg with some more of that purple color gel. Plus the nail, or these little egg pieces with just 2 coats of the purple color gel were relatively thin. So adding a third one and actually a fourth one is really going to help with the strength and make sure that they're strong enough. Cure it, add a 4th coat of purple color gel, and I promise that is the last layer of color gel on these eggs, but I am going to add a layer of gel sealer on the inside right now and cure that. That just makes sure that there's absolutely 0 tacky layer and makes them so shiny and does definitely add some more strength. So now you've got your egg. Inside is finished, and I'm going to be gluing the beads to the nail. So just the beads, not any part of the actual egg itself gets glued on. So just stick a tiny bit of drop of glue at the top of the nail and hold that carefully until the glue has attached to the bead. Make sure it all looks right and it's in the center and straight. And then you're going to want to add a tiny little bead of glue or drop of glue at the base of the nail, the tip of the nail, and then hold that so that the other bead sets in there. Make sure you don't get any of the wire or any of your egg glued down. And then secure the beads in place with some clear builder gel. Same thing, don't glue it all together, just the beads. And then using nail glue, once again, I'm going to be starting to glue on the little ornaments on the front of my egg. So I'm going to grab, and I'm using the bronze side on all of these, and I'm going to grab a butterfly, and I'm going to pick it up with the tweezers, set it into that nail glue that's on the top half of the egg, and have it so it's going over to the bottom half. So this way, when you look at it, you don't see the little connection between the top and the bottom of the egg because it's covered by these purple, or by these, not purple, by the metal butterflies. But the butterflies are only glued to the top half, so it can still be opened. They're just covering the bottom part. They're not actually attached to it at all. And because they are metal, you can bend them with your tweezers and they will hold shape. So you just push them down, and once they get some nail glue on them, they'll stay curved. And so they actually sit and conform to the shape of the egg extremely well, which is really nice. And they're so thin that it's not hard to bend them at all. So now that I have that on there and it's all glued down, I'm going to be gluing, there's some crosses in there, and I'm going to glue across to the top part of the egg. Same thing, bend it with the tweezers into place. My tweezers got so full of nail glue by the end of this that I'll have to go through and clean them off with some acetone. So then on the bottom part of the egg, I glued on, there was some little flowers. And so I'm going to glue those on. The flowers weren't nearly as dainty looking as either the butterflies or the cross, but flowers, spring, Easter, I thought it was appropriate. So I glued 3 flowers on the bottom of the egg, and as you can see here, one of the flowers got glued to my tweezers because my tweezers were covered in nail glue, which they did come off, but it was a temporary panic moment for me. And then after that's glued on there, I'm just going to make sure that there's enough glue that it will hold them down. Going to glue a 3rd one to the other side, and if you do have any metal pieces that don't entirely fit on the egg, you can trim off any excess. Make sure all of that's glued down nice, and then I'm going to be applying a layer of gel sealer to the top half of the egg, just the top half. Cure that. After that's cured, you can move it out of the way, apply it to the bottom half. Make sure you do each half on its own so that you don't accidentally gel sealer them together. Now that that's done, I'm going to be adding just a little outline around the egg on the nail, avoiding getting any of this paint on the egg itself, but just white around it. This is a guideline basically to know where I can put the rabbit. So this is just making sure that I don't exceed in his location, that he stays contained underneath where the egg is. So now I'm going to be painting my little bunny rabbit, and I'm going to be starting out just painting his shape with brown. And when I'm doing this, I am making sure that it is entirely within that oval that I painted with white. And I am going to be erasing that white oval in a moment, so it's not permanent, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a guideline. And then I'm going to start blending in some white on him to brighten up areas, because, that brown is a little bit too dark for me. So I'm going to be brightening him up, making him a little bit lighter. And I also, here and there, it's some on his cheek, and I also did some on his back. I blended in a tiny amount of orange, just to make the color look a little bit richer. And so after I've got that, so now his head is done. I also added a white highlight like around where his eye will be and on the bridge of his nose. And then I'm going to be highlighting his front legs and his chest a little bit, adding white on his toes, and then adding some white on his chest. And then I'm going to be doing the back. So I'm going to be highlighting his back and also highlighting where his hip or his knee is right there. And then also the back foot that shows. And so then after I have that, I'm going to go through with some brown and darken things up. And then with black, I'm going to be adding his eye, and I've switched to a smaller brush now, as well as his nose and a little line for his split lip. And then I'm going to be adding a shadow underneath his feet just to make it look like he is actually sitting on something, not just floating in midair, and a little bit of shadow up between his legs, both his front legs and between his back leg and his other front leg, and then separating out his ears a little bit and separating that little fold in the ear that is showing forward, adding a couple of little whiskers, and I am diluting my black paint for a lot of this just so that it's not so abrasive, or not abrasive, but harsh. And then I'm going to be adding some highlights with diluted white in his eye, and then a couple of little first strokes. And then with isopropyl alcohol on a cotton bud, I can go through and I can erase most of that white line that I created. Any of the part that's too close to the rabbit, I don't want to use something as clumsy as the cotton swab, I'll go through with a brush and some isopropyl and erase any of those other lines that weren't there. Just that thin coat of white paint erases really, really easy with that, with the isopropyl alcohol, so it shouldn't take much to get rid of it. And then closing the egg up, I'm going to be painting a line of builder gel around it, basically outlining it, making sure that I'm not getting any builder gel on the egg itself, or once again, you're going to end up gluing it shut. So then after I have that on there, I'm going to carefully open it up, once again to avoid getting any builder gel on it. And then I'm going to take a chain, a gold chain, and I'm going to be laying that down into the builder gel. So I'm going to lay it down and then figure out where it needs to be. I'm just straightening it out with my little flamingo scissors. And then I'm going to cut it off, which I have never used a chain before like this, so it was much more difficult to cut it off than I anticipated, and I probably should have used a wire cutters, which I have close by, and I don't know why I didn't, but I had the little, I guess it's not a flamingo, it's more like a stork. But I use that anyway. So then I'm going to go through and add that to the other side. Make sure that it looks even from side to side. You want it to be symmetrical. Cut off the extra chain, replace that back where it goes, and then cure that once you have it so that it's even from side to side and that it looks good. Make sure that you don't have too much chain where you won't be able to close your egg. You need to be able to be opening it and closing it. And then after that's done, I'm going to be adding some more of that clear builder gel around the edge of the chain, and then applying gold studs with the largest one at the cuticle and at the tip, and then 3 more that get progressively smaller. Then starting again at the other side, so largest, little bit smaller, smallest. And then in the between them, as you can see, there's a weird little hole there. So then I added a purple rhinestone in the middle. I used rhinestones that are really reflective and they look very deep to me. So I'm just gonna be, I like that rhinestone. It's not as purple as the egg is, but it does still have that purple feeling to it. So thought that was appropriate. And then I'm going to be repeating the process on the other side. I did cure, once I had that one side done, I did cure it so that it wasn't going to move around when you start working on the other side, because chances are with rhinestones, they like to move on their own. They don't stay where you put them. So then after one side, you can even just flash cure it, go to the other side. And then once you have both sides cured completely, I'm going to be applying a layer of gel sealer over the whole rhinestone chain outside of the nail thing. You don't apply it underneath the egg or over the egg because that part is all done. And then open it up after it's cured and apply matte top coat over your bunny portrait. And that is it. This nail design took me significantly longer than I anticipated, which is why when in the video I said it was my first 4D design. It wasn't with gel. It's actually the second one. The first one I uploaded a couple days ago, and there will be a link to that in the description box below. It's also for Easter, it's really cute. I love it. It's got a little chicken side. So I hope you like both of these and share any recreations with me on Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.